Imagine walking along the fog-shrouded coast of Oregon, near Tillamook. The year is 1936. A man named William Smith is clearing some land, his shovel striking something hard and metallic. He digs it out, brushes off the damp earth, and finds himself holding a bell. A small, bronze bell, covered in intricate, unfamiliar designs. It's a curious find, but the real mystery begins when experts get a look at it. Because the symbols on this bell, the very method of its casting, they don't belong to the indigenous cultures of the Pacific Northwest. In fact, they bear a startling resemblance to artwork from a civilization over 8,000 miles away. This is the strange, unresolved case of the Tillamook Bell, a pre-Columbian artifact that simply shouldn't exist. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is Hidden Histories, the Untold Files. Let's examine the object itself. The bell is about 5 inches tall, cast from a copper alloy. It depicts a two-headed bird, likely an eagle, with a human figure seated beneath it. The style is immediately recognizable to any student of ancient art, but not American art. It's almost a textbook example of work from the Chola dynasty of Southeast India, which flourished from around the 9th to the 13th centuries. The specific motif, the craftsmanship, even the alloy composition, all point squarely to medieval India. So the immediate, baffling question is, how did a medieval Indian ritual bell end up buried in the soil of Oregon, centuries before European contact? The most obvious theory is, of course, that it's a hoax or a later loss. Perhaps a sailor from a British East India Company ship in the 1800s dropped it. But the provenance is stubborn. William Smith was considered credible, and the bell was found under a root system of a tree estimated to be over 200 years old, suggesting it had been there long before the 19th century. Then there's the patina, that layer of corrosion that forms on ancient metal. Experts who examined it stated the patina was deep and consistent with great age, and crucially, it formed over the inscription, meaning the bell wasn't carved recently and then artificially aged. The evidence for its antiquity, while circumstantial, is persistent. This leads us to the wilder, more thrilling possibility: trans-oceanic contact. We know the idea of pre-Columbian voyages across the Pacific isn't fantasy. We have the Polynesians, master navigators who reached Rapa Nui, and there's compelling, though debated, evidence of their contact with South America. Could a vessel from medieval India, or perhaps a later Indonesian outrigger carrying traded Indian goods, have been caught in the Pacific currents? The Kuroshio Current, the Black Stream, sweeps up from the Philippines, past Japan, and directly towards the Pacific Northwest coast. It's a natural conveyor belt. If a ship was disabled, it could theoretically make that desperate, accidental journey, washing ashore in what is now Oregon. The bell, a sacred object, might have been traded or lost with its final keeper. But here's where the mystery deepens, and frankly, where it stalls. The Tillamook Bell is an outlier. A single, solitary data point. If there was sustained contact, even sporadic trade, we'd expect to find more: pottery shards, tools, genetic markers, something. We don't. It sits in isolation, a silent, metallic question mark. The academic world, rightly skeptical of grand theories built on single artifacts, has largely filed it under curious anomaly. It's been studied, debated, and then quietly placed in a museum drawer, its paradox unresolved. I find myself circling this story, thinking about that one object's immense journey, if it's real. To go from a Cholo workshop, heated by monsoon rains, to the hold of a ship, across the vast, terrifying expanse of an entire ocean, to finally rest in the cool, wet soil of a completely unknown world. It speaks to the randomness of history and the arrogance of our modern maps. We draw neat lines of discovery and influence, but the past is messier. It's full of lost voyages, forgotten encounters, and silent witnesses like this bell. It reminds me that history isn't just the story of what we know happened, but the haunting, tantalizing shadow of what might have happened. A single artifact can unravel a timeline, or at least make us question how tightly it's really woven. For now, the Tillamook Bell keeps its secret. It's a whisper from across the waves, a connection that defies our textbooks, waiting for another piece of the puzzle to someday, maybe, wash ashore. This was Hidden Histories, the Untold Files. Our production and research is done by Light Knot Studios. Find our archive and more stories at https://www.lightnotstudios.com.